Hey everyone, welcome to day 2 of our Magical Story Challenge. Be sure to like and subscribe to help us reach 100,000 subscribers.
Once upon a time, in the harmonious kingdom of Chime, where crystal bells ring softly in the breeze, lived 2 royal sisters. They lived in a magnificent castle with tall spires that touched the clouds. But the 2 sisters were as different as day and night. And then the dragon flew right over the villa. Honestly, it was huge. The elder sister was named Princess Saraphina, but the people of the land affectionately called her the Talkative Princess. Her voice was never still, for she felt that every silence was an empty space that needed to be filled with joy and words. Saraphina filled the castle halls with her endless chatter, greeting every statue, servant, and stray cat she passed. She would ask 100 questions a minute, her words swirling around her head like a flock of dizzy, colorful butterflies. Hello, Sir Reginald. Isn't the sky marvelously blue today? I do hope the tarts are strawberry. They are my absolute favorite. The younger sister was Princess Ara, known as the Silent Princess, for she had not spoken a single word since birth. Ara communicated through graceful hand gestures, expressive eyes, and a warm smile that could light up a room without a sound. She always carried a silver notebook where she sketched beautiful drawings to show people exactly what she was thinking. While her sister chattered, Ara observed the world with a quiet intensity, noticing the small magic that others missed. Their father, King Theodore, loved both his daughters dearly, though Seraphina's constant noise often gave him a slight headache. One morning in the royal gardens, Seraphina was busy recounting a strange dream to a very patient rosebush, and then the dragon turned into a giant teapot. A teapot, and it poured purple juice. Nearby, Ara sat silently on a stone bench, watching a spider weave a delicate web between 2 flowers. She sketched the pattern of the web in her book, completely lost in the peaceful beauty of the quiet garden. Seraphina bounced over to her sister, eager to share her thoughts, breaking Ara's concentration with a splash of noise. Ara, why are you so quiet? You'll never make friends with the garden gnomes if you don't say hello. Ara gently closed her sketchbook and offered her sister a patient smile, pointing to the beauty of the silent flowers. The kingdom was preparing for the annual Festival of Sounds, the grandest and loudest celebration of the entire year. Servants polished the great brass trumpets and tuned the strings of 100 violins in the great hall. The hall was packed with musicians, singers, and guests from all over the land, creating a hum of excitement. Seraphina was in paradise, her voice rising above the orchestra as she charmed every guest with her stories. Ara stood quietly by a marble pillar near the throne, communicating with a deaf musician using elegant hand signs. The king stood up to give his opening speech, raising his golden goblet to toast his happy people. My dearest subjects, it fills my heart with joy to see you all here tonight. Suddenly, the heavy doors of the hall slammed open with a boom that silenced the music instantly. A strange, tall figure entered the hall, cloaked entirely in swirling shadows that seemed to absorb the light. It was Lord Vesper, a creature of pure silence, who hated the joyful noise of the kingdom. He glided across the floor without making a sound, like a dark cloud moving across the sun. No one moved, frozen by the sudden drop in temperature and the eerie silence he brought with him. Only Idra tracked his movements, her sharp eyes watching his shadow hand reach toward the ting. Lord Vesper unleashed a wave of dark purple magic that struck the king right in the throat. The king opened his mouth to scream, but no sound came out. His voice had been stolen instantly. Vesper caught the voice, which looked like a glowing golden ball of light, and trapped it in a glass jar. Panic erupted in the great hall as guests gasped in horror at their silent, terrified king. "Father, what's wrong? Why aren't you speaking? Did you forget your speech? Oh dear, someone fetch water." Saraphina filled the frightened silence with a frantic torrent of nervous words, trying to fix the problem with noise. Vesper laughed a chilling, soundless laugh that echoed only in their minds and vanished in a puff of smoke. The next morning, the castle was in absolute chaos, with ministers arguing and servants running about aimlessly. The poor king sat on his throne, looking miserable and mute, unable to give any commands to his people. Saraphina paced the throne room floor, talking nonstop to her advisors, offering 100 silly solutions. "We must organize a search party. No, a choir. If we sing loud enough, maybe his voice will come back." While everyone listened to Seraphina's confusing orders, Idra quietly approached the spot where Vesper had stood. She knelt down and noticed a faint, shimmering trail of purple dust left behind on the stone floor. Idra quickly sketched the unique pattern of the dust in her notebook and ran to show the royal wizard. The wizard examined the drawing and gasped, recognizing the magical residue immediately. "This is the dust of the Echo Caves, far to the north. Only a creature of deep silence could dwell there." Saraphina immediately declared that she would go to the caves and demand her father's voice back. "I shall march right up to that shadow person and give him a piece of my mind. He won't know what hit him." But the king gently took Idra's hand and placed it on top of Seraphina's, indicating they must go together. He knew that Seraphina's noise needed Idra's wisdom, and Idra's observation needed Seraphina's courage. The sisters packed their bags with food, warm cloaks, and Idra's sketchbook. Ready for a dangerous quest, they waved goodbye to their silent father and stepped out of the castle gates, heading toward the frozen north. Their journey first led them through the Whispering Woods, a strange forest where the trees had faces. The trees were very grumpy and sensitive to loud noises, sleeping with their branch arms folded. Idra moved through the woods like a graceful ghost, her steps light and silent on the moss. Saraphina, however, found the silence insufferable and began to hum tunes to fill the air. "My goodness, it's awfully quiet in here, isn't it, Idra? A little tune wouldn't hurt. La 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 la." Her singing caused the trees to wake up angrily, snapping their branches and shaking their leaves. Magical squirrels threw acorns at Seraphina's head, trying to make her stop the noise. Idra quickly pulled her sister behind a large rock, putting a finger to her lips in a desperate shush gesture. Seraphina looked at her sister's serious face and realized her noise was putting them in danger. She zipped her lips shut with her fingers and nodded, promising to be as quiet as a mouse. They continued walking and soon came to a fork in the path where two identical trails diverged. Seraphina forgot her promise and immediately started debating which path was better. Out loud, "Shush! Sparkles in a cave." "Well, the left path looks sunnier, but the right path has prettier flowers. What do you think? Left, right?" Idra ignored the chatter and knelt down, intently studying the faint tracks of animals on the left path. She saw that the rabbits and deer all chose the left path, which meant that it was the safe one. She stood up and confidently pointed left, showing Saraphina the animal tracks in the dirt. Saraphina was impressed by her sister's observation and decided to follow her lead without arguing. As night fell, they set up camp under the stars, warming their hands by a small fire. For the first time, Saraphina sat quietly, enjoying the peaceful silence with her sister. The next day, they reached a deep ravine, crossed by a bridge made entirely of transparent ice. A massive ice troll blocked their path, holding a giant club made of a frozen tree.
And the entire kingdom of Chime.